Melvyn, it's good. And we are actually delighted that you have qualified the examination with such a high rank this year.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
you
Thank you.
one of the topper in the civil services examination.
Yeah.
And like we wish you all the best for your future endeavors. And at the same time, we would like to extend heartiest congratulations from the team of Lukmaan IAS.
Sure. Thank you for that. Yeah.
So, like we are connecting for the first time on Zoom session today, right?
Yeah.
And like we, like you might have attended the classes, and you might have written some test papers as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would like to know about your experience of writing civil services means exam this year.
So basically, this was my fourth attempt and fourth mains. I've always qualified through the prelims. So it was actually this mains was given in the backdrop of two failed mains. So I qualified in my first attempt. I got into the IRS with a rank of 292. After that, I failed twice in mains. So this mains was given in that backdrop. So I prepared quite hard for it, and I ended up with a top 10 score. I think in India in my mains it was around 850. So I can tell you a few things about that. I think the mains went very well, especially I planned quite a lot for essay and optional. I think I performed quite well in those subjects. So yeah, basically it was about a test of your stamina, a test of your mental willpower, where you go through 27 hours of writing. So there are 9 papers and it's 3 hours. So I think you have to build yourself up for that, which I could not do in the mains where I did not even qualify for interview, despite having been selected. So there is nothing like, if you get selected once, you may be selected again. It requires a different strategy. And I think I gave it in for the mains for the first time in 2017. So the preparation then was very different, and the preparation now is very different. So year by year, UPSC changes its strategies. It changes the marking pattern of optional. So it requires a lot of strategic planning and thinking, and it would change again in the next 1 or 2 years. So this is what I could say about this year's mains.
All right. So what do you do differently this year?
So basically, I had certain weaknesses. Like first was the essay paper, where I was consistently getting around I think I got 130. So every year the marks don't matter. The main thing is how you perform relative to the topper. So I got around 130 when the average marks of the topper was 150, 160, and then I think next time I got around 120, then 120 again. So I was not able to initially in my first 3 attempts, I was not able to get a good score in essay. So I analyzed it and I wanted to know what was going wrong. So basically, it's that you prepare for every paper based on its own merits. Every paper has a different strategy and a different preparation. So I did a lot of research. I went through the question papers of all the toppers of the previous years, and I trained myself to write abstract essays because I am a doctor. I'm from a technical background. So I was not used to abstract things or abstract thought or philosophy. These were new things to me. I would just write facts or whatever I knew. But you see that essay is a story. So you cannot write you have to present it like a story. You have to it is I think it's evaluated by English teachers or common laymen. It's not a specialty subject. So that helped me, and this time I was able to get 142, where the average mark was around 106 or 110 or something like that. So that's again a 30, 40 mark jump. So that would be for essay. Then again, GS 1, 2, 3, I identified how to prepare for each paper. So my GS 1, 2, 3 marks are also quite decent. So basically, GS 1 is again a very scoring paper, which many people ignore, because once you prepare for it, it is given that you can predict the questions and you can get solid marks. So the difference between my last time and previous time is that in the two failed mains, my marks would be 20 marks below the toppers in any one, like in any GS paper. So if the toppers marks would be top 100 people would be 110, mine would be 90 or 85. So that creates 25 mark gap in each paper. So 25 marks into GS 1, 2, 3, 4 is 100 marks. So you need to you need to ensure that you are at that par level where so that you can you avoid 100-mark deficit, which will surely put you out of the list. So I identified that again, how to prepare for GS1. I threw out all my old notes and I made new notes, and I adopted this digital strategy, digital notes, so that if you're in a job, you cannot carry your heavy books everywhere. You need to have something light and compact. So I put everything in. I bought an iPad. I put everything into that, and it was one of the best investments, I would say. I was able to read on different, even in training or anywhere, I was able to catch up very easily. So I basically I found out how to approach each GS paper based on its own merit. So GS1, like, how do you write a geography answer? That
Right.
is quite different from how do you write a society answer. How do you write a polity answer? Again, that is, you need to give different dimensions of constitution and polity. So basically, that thinking about each paper in its own merits. That's what I did.
All right. So since you told like you have a professional background, I mean like you are a doctor, right?
Yeah.
So many people might be interested to know about your academic background, right? How do you do your academics, and how did you plan to come into civil services?
Okay.
So tell us something about your academic background, and also tell like why did you select, why did you choose to come to the civil services field?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I'm a doctor by profession. I studied in a government medical college. So there, actually, it opened my eyes. I saw a lot of poverty. You see a lot of direct consequences of poverty or lack of amenities through health. So, say you see a TB patient. I treated a lot of tuberculosis patients, a lot of HIV patients, and a lot of their symptoms, they would get better in the hospital. Maybe 10 or 15 days they would stay. But I was quite sure that that they are coming back, or that they will not be able to fully recover as long as they don't have good food, housing, or good water. So without these things, a medical setup can only do so much. So in fact, I happened to work in quite a few tribal hamlets, and I even treated a tribal girl who had a hemoglobin of 1. So that is not that it is manifesting at one point. It is the consequence of something, right? It's the consequence of some failures in the system. So that really inspired me, and I thought, yeah, why not get into administration, where you can at least attempt to solve all these issues at the ground level. So that was my basic motivation to get into the civil service after MBBS.
All right. So when did you start preparing for civil services? Like, how long has been, your journey for preparation of civil services?
Okay, so serious preparation was after MBBS, after college, which was in 2016 I passed out. So it's been 6 years, you can see. So it was a very long journey. It was quite difficult at times, but and also I made certain mistakes which prolonged the preparation. So you can say it's 6 years prep.
All right. Uh, like it is said generally, like, all is well when end is well. So like
Yeah,
you ended up with getting one of the top rank in the civil services, and I hope like you're going to get a service of your choice very
yeah,
soon.
yeah.
So like
Thank you.
that is something, that summarizes all the struggle that you may have done during the preparation time. So
Yeah.
this is a huge achievement, like in our opinion. I mean, like this is a huge achievement.
So,
And success does not come overnight. It is like, hard work and consistency in preparation put together over the years. And you have sustained that phase of, putting effort, like maybe little slow, maybe little, high. So you have put in effort over the years, and, that has resulted into such a huge success this year. So tell us something about, how did you make notes? Did you make online notes, or you made like offline notes and written notes for preparation?
okay. So in my first attempt, it was all handwritten notes, but this time, as I said, I adopted this digital strategy. So for my optional, it was all handwritten notes, because for the optional, you need anthropology as an optional is very factual. You need diagrams, and you need to really see that and keep practicing. So for the optional, it was all handwritten mostly. But for GS, you need to add from diverse sources. So it keeps changing, right? You take a little from here, a little from there, and no institute or nobody can offer a complete complete guidance for GS. You need to take from a lot of sources. So their online notes was extremely helpful. And yeah, it's basically, I would say, try to keep your notes online because you can add to it. It becomes much easier and the amount of books are lesser. And you also feel that it is light, that, your notes are not too much, even if it runs into 1,000 pages.
All right.
Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.
So now let us discuss something about your GS preparation, like,
Sure.
paper wise. So how did
Sure.
you prepare your GS paper 1?
Okay, so GS paper 1, I would say I got the best marks in that. Like, out of my marks, GS 1, 2, 3, I think I can speak better on GS 1. So GS 1 is 3 sections: history, geography, and this one, society. So each section has its own way of writing. Okay, so history is quite simple to prepare. I think you have the best sources there. I prepared from Spectrum for modern history. Then there's Nitin Singhania for art and culture, which is a great book. And then the third part, world history. I had some coaching notes, and there's a book called Norman Law. It's a very bulky book, so do not try not.
World history.
Yeah, world history. It's a bulky book, but it is a very interesting book, and it can help you in international relations as well, in essay as well. So you can. I read certain sections of that, whichever I found interesting, or like say UN or Russian Revolution, or I think the question this time, I'm not sure. I think it was on some revolution or the other. So there I read that book, so it helped me a lot. So basically, these three things is for content. But now, how do you write a history answer? So history answer involves some chronology. It involves some historical background. So you should add that in your answer, along with the normal. Everybody knows that you give introduction, body, conclusion. But how to make a answer a history answer? So you add some historical background. You add a map or two when you can. Then you add a lot of dates. And in GS1, facts matter more than compared to GS 2, 3, or 4. And especially 4, I would say facts matter the least. But in GS1, knowledge matters. So that is how I prepared history, adding some historical background, adding some maps from whatever you study, because everybody has access to these books. I don't think that is the issue, but how to apply this. And then the last thing is you analysis. So how do you analyze the questions and how do you predict the new questions? So in history, say they like asking, they do not ask traditional questions, like say they ask few questions on say non-cooperation movement or something like that. Those are not, you don't have straightforward questions. So you think about what can they ask. Say there's a question in 2017 on pre-British India, and how pre-British India laid the foundation for British to conquer, or it was a very fragmented polity. So you think like that, and you think, okay, now they have asked on these things, now what can come? They have not asked for about personalities for quite a few years. So next year, probably personalities could come. Maybe they could ask on Subhash Chandra Bose, or I think they've asked on Maulana Azad. So that analyzing 7 years papers, mains papers, and predicting. That's history. Then I think you go with geography. Geography is around 120 marks in GS1. So that is a very crucial part which can boost your score up a lot. So in geography, diagrams are very important. I prepared from sources like actually geography. There are many sources, but there aren't very good sources for geography. You need to prepare specific parts of geography: economic geography, social geography. These things, there's not much material on it. Then there are certain things in the syllabus: cyclone, tsunami, volcano. So I prepared specific notes or diagrams on these ones. So if you can prepare geography well, it is very scoring. And I try to draw a diagram in each and every question. for GS1. I think, or especially each and every geography question, like 10, 11 questions. So this would suffice. For geography, diagrams more than points, these facts somewhat matter. So that would be geography. And then finally, society. So society, the thing is that there's a lot of material, but how do you write a society answer? So I watched a few videos online, and there I understood that there are some keywords you have to use for society. Say, who are the parts of society? Men, women, elderly. Then you can say homeless or children, and use words like, social harmony, stereotype, patriarchy. These are societal facts, right? Feminism. These are all societal facts. So try to bring these perspectives into your answer. Say if you have a society answer, how do you write it different from a GS answer, GS2 answer? You bring these dimensions: men, women, children, elderly, patriarchy, and any other societal fact. So this can easily help you make dimensions, because for a 15-mark answer, you need 15 points. So how do you make these points? So this is, I think, my strategy for GS1.
And what was your strategy for GS paper 2?
Okay, GS paper 2, again it's a very scoring paper. But the thing is, people from non-humanities background, they may not know how to score more in it, because it is a paper of mostly constitution and governance, and IR is a smaller part, 50 marks. So I'll tell you how to hit the thing. What I understood is how to hit the constitution part. It would be easy for people with background like law or political science. I think they would be able to hit these things. But for a non-specialized candidate, you have to answer in these dimensions. Like, you have to make it a little more legalistic or a little more constitutional. So you include a lot of articles. My sources of preparation were like Lakshmikant, and then you can refer any good GS2 notes like in the market. Take that. But how do you apply that? That is important. In that, you should try to make points on, polity, on like CAG, on any kind of bodies, like bodies, devolution. These are the terms from the syllabus. So just try to use these terms and apply that and make those the dimensions of your answer. Like, there was an old method of writing in 2016-17 when I started preparing. They would say, make 10 dimensions, means make political, economic, societal. That does not work now.
Yeah.
Now you have to make dimensions of points, like say states, federalism, secularism. These can be the dimensions of your answer for any basic answer. And the one more thing is, most underrated thing is Supreme Court judgments. So try to prepare some kind of list, because they're asking old judgments now. UPSC is not focusing on current affairs of last 12 months anymore. I think this time they asked something on constitutional morality. I think that's the Shabrimala judgment of 4 years back in 2018. So try to prepare some list of important Supreme Court judgments so you can quote them anywhere. So basically, in a polity answer, articles, Supreme Court judgments are very helpful. Like, if you write cases and all that, it adds a lot of, I think, some sparkle to your answer. And then committee reports. So if there are different, if you have these lists from second ARC, if you can just read summaries of reports. Like, I think GS Core has some summary of each report, 30-page summary. I incorporated that into my notes. So that was very helpful. And again, if you come to the governance part, I think ARC reports, newspaper, of course. Newspaper helps a lot here. But the thing is, since we have to prepare so much and we have to prepare for prelims as well, we do not have time to read the newspaper every day. Like, when I joined, in my first attempt, I would read the newspaper for around an hour or an hour and a half, make notes and all that. But right now, with so many things, and with each sector of the examination becoming very tough, like prelims is quite tough, CSAT is very tough, so we do not have time anymore. So I would suggest that people pool in some resources. Like, if you have a friends group, I could say that, each one takes some responsibility and makes pools in their newspaper notes, because the lesser time you spend on newspaper, but newspaper has very good facts, so the lesser time you spend and the more things you can extract from the newspaper, that is good. So I would just sit with 1 month's newspaper, or I would ask my friends to help me out. So they would make quick notes, like just in 4 or 5 days, just finish off 30 newspapers. That would yield more dividends than spending 1 hour of newspaper every day. So try to extract what you want and try to make digital notes of newspaper.
Ethics with S. Ansari remains the best ever choice. Do you know that ethics paper is the only paper in general studies that pays more with less efforts? One can easily secure 130 to 140 marks. Lukmaan IAS is a well-established name since 2014 for ethics paper. We offer 3 types of courses: Ethics Foundation course, Ethics Case Studies, and Ethics Test Series. Since 2015, Lukmaan IAS students have maintained the records of securing the highest marks in this paper. So, why to wait? Contact us today for more information.
Like in Lukmaan IAS, Ansari sir is the one who teaches GS paper to complete.
Oh, yeah.
And like, Ansari sir teaches public admin optional.
Yeah, he's quite known for PubAd also.
Are so good that no matter where a student has done his foundation, he comes for GS paper to understand it from Ansari sir, because he has the understanding of those issues, and the notes that sir provides is extremely good. The notes are available in the market, I guess, locally in photocopy shop. Otherwise, also there are many students who would like to study through notes that is available in our institute as well. Many students need something, so they can.
Then IR, it's IR actually, if you can, if aspirants can add some kind of doctrines, say. You have the basic current affair news, but if you can add some policies, say Act East policy, Look West policy, if you can refer MEA website and those things, just check out, the PSIR notes a little bit for such doctrines, that would give some added edge to your advantage answer, along with some good maps and all that. So it's same thing, current affairs. And so I would advise aspirants to provide some static notes for IR, so that you can get some theoretical base. That will add some kind of punch to your answer. So that would be for GS2.
And when it comes to GS paper 3, we do have different, subsections in it. Like Indian economy, we have, disaster management, we have internal security, we have science and technology. And we also have another area, GS paper 3, environment and ecology. So how do you plan or prepare your notes for GS paper 3, and how frequently do you revise those notes? We will come to the revision part at a later stage. So just tell us about your note making strategy, and how you went about preparing GS paper 3.
So GS paper 3 is the most challenging. It looks like the most daunting paper because it has so many sections. And honestly, when I first saw that paper, I was very scared because it is very daunting. It has 5 or 6 sections, and each section is a specialization of its own. So basically, I can start with economy. So the first thing is you go through the newspaper. I would ask my friends, basically people who were as in a few of us, I would ask them to prepare. We would all prepare some kind of newspaper notes. We would all take charge of one month, and then we would pool it in, and we would prepare separate current affair notes for polity, for economy, for ecology and environment, and I think security. These would be the current affair part. So around 10 months of newspaper before the mains would be fine. You will get infinite amount of very good material, and you get extremely good examples. So this, along with economic survey, jet and all that, would be enough. And along with this, the static notes. So now there are things like liberalization. Many people do not have static notes on it, but this is a short question. So what is liberalization? What is LPG? How did it come about? What are the different sectors which are reformed? Banking, finance, that, industrialization, licensing. So you need some static note, but you need to update it. So each part of the thing, like economy, which is infrastructure, or the, say, anything like general economy, planning, how is planning changed? So these things, you need good static notes for it. And you can refer Niti Aayog's, it has a strategy for New India, that can also be referred. So that is the preparation part. But now how to write economics answer? Now I was failing in that very badly in the last 2 attempts, where I would just write anything. But I would forget that it is a GS3 paper where they are testing some kind of general knowledge on economics and your economic sensibility. So how to make dimensions in economics? First of all, you have to use these keywords like liberalization, growth, structural reform, industry, infrastructure, K-shape. There's a thing called K-shaped recovery, V-shaped recovery, GDP. So you have to make your whole thinking on these economic parameters like GDP, inflation, macroeconomy, microeconomy, demand, supply, housing, finance, and all these things. These could be your dimensions. So if you can start thinking like that, then it becomes very easy. Even with less knowledge, you can write a good economic answer. So that is for economy. Then when it comes to agriculture, that's also a big part. Similar way, similar dimensions. I'm not going much into it because agriculture requires some good static notes. I would advise aspirants to prepare PDS, buffer stock, food processing. You can refer ministry websites, reports, and all that. That would be fine. But similar way to economy to prepare. Like what are the dimensions of agriculture? Like farmers, women farmers, PDS, food security, price, demand, supply. So you can add these kind of words into your answer. That is agriculture. Then you come to the more important topics of of GS3, which are very ignored. But actually, if you see, most aspirants focus on economy. But now there's only 5 questions out of 20 in economy. The rest 15 would be from security, science and tech, and I think environment. There are around 5 questions for an environment. So I'd advise aspirants to prepare this part quite well because it has a correlation of environment for GS1 and 3. So you would prepare for at least 10 questions of which are somewhat environment related. And especially disaster management should also be prepared very well. Some static notes, NDMA guidelines, which are always asked. Just try to make some very short micro notes of these things with the keywords. Then for security, again, 6 or 7 questions could be asked from that. So again, good static notes and thinking on security lines, similar like IR, just like IR. Some doctrines, cold start doctrine, offensive defensive posture. These are ways or these are strategies of security or maritime maritime strategy of the Navy. So if you can prepare these things, if you can prepare like routes, say maps, organized crime maps, what are the havens, Golden Crescent, the other one, Golden Crescent and Golden, I don't know what, I don't remember that. But if you can prepare some kind of routes, maps, drug trafficking is like that. So there, that will add a lot of things to your answer. So, and finally, science and tech also should be prepared quite well. Because at least 2 or 3 questions can come. So just prepare the current affairs and try to find good static material in market is what I would advise aspirants. This much would get you through the exam with decent marks for GS3.
Okay. So now let us come to GS paper 4, the ethics, integrity and aptitude part.
Yeah.
So we would like to know about your strategy and how did you prepare your notes? Like, did you write test papers related to it? And what was the role of like previous year questions of UPSC? And how you were connected with Lukmaan IAS?
Yeah, so basically I took my coaching for ethics from Lukmaan IAS. So it helped me quite a bit. Ansari sir's classes were very good. They were kind of eye-opening. I struggled with ethics a lot initially. So for ethics, actually, the quality matters a lot more than, knowledge or facts. It is the least fact-based paper. Even by studying 1 day or 2 days, you can score very good marks in ethics. That is the advantage it gives you. So in ethics, answer writing is important, but how you think is very important. What examples and how you think from your life is very important. So job related examples should be given because they're testing your aptitude for a job and how you apply these ethics in a job. So preparation of examples and rather than, even if you don't have time for answer writing, I think discussing with good faculties is very important. Like, how do I approach this ethics answer? And then trying to make it some part of you, learning good quotes, focusing on things like values and adding a lot of these ethical keywords, values, society, communitarianism, empathy, sympathy, tolerance, and trying to make it, trying to add your examples. That would be enough for ethics. And case studies again requires a different approach. Like, finding out best practices, reading some good books, like some novels for ethics also may be good. Say if you have, especially Indian examples, like say from any kind of sources like religion or like Ramana, Mahabharata, Quran, any of these, you can quote examples from this. That would have a better impact on your answer also. So you can do this for ethics, but quoting from different the sources of ethics, that is important, like religion or philosophy or culture and job. These four things would be the best things for ethics. I would say this much. But to learn to think in ethics is the most important thing. So in ethics, the role of friends, family, faculty, that has a big role.
All right. So, like, it was good to know about your preparation strategy related to all the GS papers. Now, tell us about like how did you plan about preparing for essay paper? Like, essay is also also an area like which is very easy for many students to score very high marks, and at the same time, it may be very difficult for others, set of students to score an average mark in essay. So, how did you go about preparing for essay paper?
Okay, so I put my maximum thinking into, I did not put my maximum effort into essay. I put my maximum mental resources into essay, because I was trying every year, I was thinking of some strategy or the other, but it would not work much. So I really sat down and I started thinking about essay 1.5 years back when I wanted to give this attempt, and I skipped an attempt in between, so I got a lot of time. So I basically, essay is something which is generalist in nature. Anybody can decide, evaluate a good essay. Even you can, even I can. We don't need experts for it. But the thing is, many people fail to make an impact with the essay. It is 10 or 11 pages. So first we must realize it's a story. So that I got to realize. I used to write a factual kind of GS based answer, but it's not an answer. It is a journey, it is a story. So the most important thing in essay is you realize it's a story, it's a journey, and it's how you transition, how you flow from one part to another. Knowledge is a little important, but since the topics are very abstract right now, knowledge becomes less important, understanding becomes more important. So you start with an introduction or a story, then you transition slowly into the body, then each part must be connected. So I think the book of topper Anudeep, he had given the art of essay writing. That's a good book, it can be read. So you transition from body to body, and then finally you reach the conclusion. But the problem in essay is that if we divert from the topic, however well we have written, we will get extremely less marks. So you must, I've read the essays of several aspirants, and this is the number one mistake that even experienced aspirants could make, that they divert from the topic. If so I wrote an essay on the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
All right.
Okay, so first thing is we should understand what this means. So we should only write an essay where we understand what it means. If there is even 5% confusion on what this means, you should not write it. You should leave it, because it will lead, even if we put our maximum efforts, we will get around 90, 100 or 80 marks. So you should understand like what it means. So hand that rocks the cradle rules the world means there's somebody like a mother or someone would be rocking the cradle, like the baby would be taking care of a baby, or helping the baby, and then that hand or that mother would rule the world. So that meaning must be very crystal clear in our head. And the thing is, UPSC is giving following abstract topics. So I was very weak in abstract topics. I could not even look at it, or I would get afraid by looking at it. So I trained myself over the course of few months to think philosophically, to think like a story. And philosophy is an important part of an abstract essay. So there is a essay like joy is the simplest form of gratitude, or the highest form of gratitude, or something. I would have no clue before when I left my college, but then I slowly started thinking, and you think about philosophers, you think about daily life, you think about different dimensions. And you think about exactly how that shows the title of the essay, because you cannot divert from the topic at all. You must not, and you cannot. So, and then you think of a story in the introduction and some kind of story or some kind of message in the conclusion. So this much, if you do, I think an essay could be done well. So going through the papers of previous year toppers is the best, because I saw that they had the skill to tell not only examples or not only dimensions, they had the skill to tell what the essay means. So after you finished that, after you finish the essay, you would feel fulfilled. Like you would feel that this person, okay, they have done full justice to this topic. And if you put even like a few months of thinking, and if you write around 5, 6 papers and get it evaluated by different faculty and show it to your friends or your family, this would fetch you very high marks, and it would ensure that you get selected by not really studying, but by just by thinking. So the effort is very less, but the dividends are very high.
All right. So now let us talk about revision strategies. So does a topper like you have a strategy for revising the topics that you have already studied or made notes on? And how did you go about revising before the examination?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. The revision strategy is actually I follow a formula. The formula is that for my optional, you would have to revise a total of 6 times. So the optional, especially my optional, is fact heavy, it's content heavy. So there, without revision, you cannot write it. So for optional, I would follow a strategy of 5, 6 times revision. And for GS, general studies, 3 to 4 times would be pretty good. If you can do it 5, 6 times, then excellent. But sometimes we do not have time with all the things. So I would say minimum of 3 times, if you can revise for prelims and mains, that would be fine. And the second thing I would tell you about revision is a strategy of, say, micro notes. Okay, so we have some notes. Our notes would be this bulky or whatever, and there would be pages and pages. And but how will we go through all these notes at the end? At the end, you'll be so tired, and before GS3, GS4 paper, you would have a few hours because it is GS1, 2, then GS3, 4. So you would have 4 or 5 hours to revise this. How do you revise it? You basically take your notes, whatever newspaper notes, static, everything, and you condense it, and you make it onto small sheets, and then you write just the important things, just the important examples, the names, the facts, and then your notes would shrink again. Now if you want, you can do this exercise again, and make it like into a 10-page summary. Like all of GS2 can be a 10-page summary. So if you can make these summaries, they would really activate your brain, and you would be able to give your maximum in the mains for GS or for optional. So finally, GS would be 5 to 6 times for revision for optional, and minimum of 3 times revision for general studies.
All right. So that's a good revision plan that you have shared, and like many students may get some valuable insights from the way that you revise, right? So let us just tell us about uh, what was your planning for the last 1 month before you went before you went for the mains exam. So what did you do for the last 1 month? I mean, like the time is very short, and pressure is so high. There is apprehension that you may not have studied all the topics that you could have done it, and there is a lot of pressure also. So how did you manage the last 1 month, and how did you go about it?
Okay. Yeah. So there are two aspects to this. One is the mental part, which is around 60% of the preparation. Because if we fail at the mental part, we fail at anything. So the mental part is I try to keep myself very positive, because see, I had failed in 2 mains before that. And you sacrifice a lot and you study and all that. But if you do not study in that last month, all of that 1 year's preparation goes to waste. So I would try to keep myself very positive. Had a very good friends circle, and I had a close friend also. I have a close friend who prepared with me from since 2016. So we both decided to be very positive. We thought that we should take a little pressure, but not too much. So I would feel that I have 1 month. 1 month is 30 days. 30 days is so many hours. So I have these many hours, so I have a lot of time. So that's how I would relax and be quite cool. And then the role of family, my parents also came over, and that helped me a lot. So talking to them, talking to your friends, talking to your family, that really helps a lot. So there you can relax. And then finally, I think you should understand that the most important thing is not how much you have read, or how much, maybe not even how much you have practiced, but how you can execute that in that form. So in the last month, now I'll come to the preparation part. In the last month, I made summaries of everything that I had. So GS 1, 2, 3 notes, or 4 notes, and optional. I was mostly making summaries only. Say I have a huge chapter in my optional, which would be this big. I would make it into a 5-page summary. Then I would feel very relaxed that what do I have to do? I just have to read 5 pages. So when I read those 5 pages, immediately everything would come back into my mind very easily. So making summaries of your notes, just writing the most important facts, the most important figures, the most important diagrams, and making a list would help me like too much. So it made me cool also that I have very less to revise, and I was able to execute it in the exam. So sometimes we would see that some people have written 20 tests, some people have written 30 tests. I had only written 4 or 5 tests. But the thing is, tests and answer writing matter, but what matters is how you're going to execute it, how well you have revised, and how well you can put it into practice. So even 4 to 5 tests analyzed extremely well by experts or by other friends, toppers, and all that would yield you a lot of dividends, rather than simply writing daily answer writing or 10 to 15 tests, just going through daily answer writing and just being happy. That is not the way. Analysis is the way. So one is mental game, or preparing and just being very positive and happy. Even if you have to lie to yourself and be happy, you must find a way, because it is just a matter of 1 month. So I think a few days I would stay over, me and my friends would sit, and especially in the days before optional, 4 days before optional, I just stayed with my friend who had the same optional, and we prepared and we revised day in and day out. So we were able to push each other. So if you have a study group, that is great. If you don't, then try to watch motivational videos, try to interact with your family, and try to just push yourself for the last 1 month in a very happy and positive way. And please don't crack under pressure. And finally, the last thing is, please maintain your health. The health is extremely important. So try to eat well, try to sleep well, and try not to get into any, and like try not to smoke, or try not to drink or anything, especially in that last 1 month. So your health is extremely crucial, especially for the last few days. So please look at that. So these 3 aspects would be fine.
All right. So so far we have discussed all about academics,
Yeah.
how to prepare different papers. Now, many people have a perception that UPSC toppers are not human beings. I mean, they think they are the ones who are with the books all the time. So, is there a other part of it, part of you? I mean, that makes you do some crazy things out of your studies and all, which not sticking to studies all the time.
Of course.
That is something about your, that personal part that is away from
Yeah.
this.
I understood that. See, the thing that UPSC toppers are not human beings, I believed that myself before coming to preparation. So I would watch these videos, and that time resources were very less. So right now we have all these resources, topper strategies, and all very closely. We can see it at home, and we still understand that they are human. At that time, in 2015-16, when all these things were just coming up, Telegram and YouTube and all that, so I would feel that they were from a different planet. So I totally get that. So yeah, I enjoy, I enjoy a lot of things. I enjoy travel, especially. I enjoy I enjoy sports, I enjoy table tennis, and I have a very, I love to do a lot of things other than study. It is only that we want something, or we have a goal, and there is no choice but to study. See, we should understand that this, right, our marks, or our even interview marks, or mains marks, or prelims marks, these things are just a snapshot. These things are a snapshot of what you did at that hour or that time. That is nothing more or nothing less. So your personality, who you are, what you are, it is totally different. It is something not connected to this. People say that, I was a bad person, so I could not do it. I was something. No, it is just your efforts and your state of mind at that second or that point of time. So you must dissociate your personality from this thing. Even as a bureaucrat, if somebody salutes you, if they are saluting the post, they are not saluting you. So you are different. The post is different. The work you do is different. So you should keep these two very separate. And that is what I always believe. So personally, yes, I like to travel. I like to, give talks. I'm a quite a social person. I love to go out with friends, and yeah, that aspect of me has no relation to the study aspect of me. But I would add one more thing, that UPSC toppers are human beings, but the thing is that most toppers, they have a fire and they do not leave anything to chance. So that is a very important aspect, that when you prepare, it is not that it's a UPSC is a thing, an exam which a lot of people aspire to. So, but how do you crack? And the margin for error is very less. It's, how do you get into the top 100 or 50 or 200? So everybody, most of the 99%, I think there is maybe 1% luck. But most of the people who prepare, and especially who get very high marks in the mains, they do not leave anything to chance. So you must have a very ruthless attitude in that aspect, that you prepare everything, and not everything. You cannot read everything. You prepare every paper, and you ensure that you're getting at least above average marks in every paper, and performing extremely well in 2-3 papers. So if you can prepare that, and you can integrate, prelims, mains, prelims, CSAT, mains, essay, what, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, optional, and then interview prep as well. So integrating these three things, which all require different mindset, is tough. So you should not leave anything to chance. So I would suggest that people start preparing minimum 12 months before prelims. So there, in that aspect, sometimes UPSC toppers may be inhuman, if I can use that word. But otherwise, they're very human as anybody. Everybody, has their own fears. Everybody has their own, mental health issues, and so on and so forth. We're all, moving through life and facing so many challenges. So there, everybody is extremely human. But just in this part of not leaving things to chance, I would say any aspirant who wishes to become a topper should not leave anything to chance, and can be inhuman in that way.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I do have a very personal question to you. I mean, personal
Sure.
question, like in the sense, like it is going to, we are going to know about you. I mean,
Sure.
we students as well, right?
Yeah.
So, what is the thing that you admire most about this, preparation process? It's like, there can be some positive part, there can be some negative parts. So, what do you admire more about this preparation process that you have gone through?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you for that. So, I would say the thing that I admire most is the experience of failure that UPSC teaches you. See, I think only 2 or 3% of aspirants would be those who qualify in their first attempt and get the service of their choice. The rest, 99% or 99 point something percent, would fail. So there, failure, like, especially, even I had not really failed at something before UPSC. Like, really means where you put all what you have on the line, but you still fail. So UPSC would be the first experience of failure for many people, especially that, whoever would top in school and all that. It would bring you down to earth. So I really admire that thing in UPSC, where it brings you down, and then you have to build yourself back up. You have to build yourself, you have to build your mental strength. You have to understand that you are not the exam is not you. They are two separate things, but the exam is a reflection of what you did at that hour or that second. That's it. So building up my mental strength was the greatest thing that UPSC has given me, and I think I can apply that in other aspects of life as well. So anybody, regardless of whether you succeed or you fail in this exam gives you something called mental strength, and it gives you a very positive attitude, because you can only succeed with a positive attitude. So that is something I really admire about this exam.
All right. So now tell us about the timing of preparation. Means, like, at some stage of your life, you have thought of preparing for civil services examination, right? then you entered into the preparation phase. So like, how do you, like tell us about your timing and like, what do you think, like what could be the best timing for you to enter into the preparation of civil services?
Okay, that's again very nice question, because most people don't know what is the timing. They think even I would not know exactly what is the timing. So I can divide the timing into two parts. One is timing for people, for aspirants, for full-time aspirants. Other is timing for working professional. Because I have cleared this exam in my first attempt as a full-time aspirant, and in my fourth attempt as a working professional, as I was in the IRS. So the timing for both is a little different. So as a full-time aspirant, I would say 12 to 14 months before the prelims, if you are fresh and you do not know anything, is fine enough time. I think in 2017 when I started, it was 10 or 11 months. But now with the toughness of, seeing the toughness of prelims and seeing the toughness of each stage and seeing the randomness increasing, I would say 12 to 14 months for aspirants to, of course, to get a top rank. This is to get a top rank. And for working professionals, if you're a aspirant who has failed in few attempts and you're working, there I think if you should have a job which gives you 5 hours a day, because I studied not more than 4 to 5 hours a day on a consistent basis. So for any working professional, the time that they require is 1.5 times, I feel, of what a full-time aspirant needs. So if you are a working professional and you're starting, say, your preparation from scratch, then you would need maybe 16 to 18 months before. So you can plan like this and you can surely get a top rank, but you can keep giving the exam and do such things. So working professional would require 1.5 times this thing. And all these time periods which I said are very long, but you can shorten these also. If you can get, if people can get access to toppers notes, toppers guidance and all that, or pre-prepared notes from other aspirants, then these timelines shorten a lot. But this is the basic timeline if you do not know anything.
Yeah. Okay. So now, like, I do have another question, very interesting one for you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have been a working professional, right? So
yes.
you're a doctor. Then, like, you started preparing for civil services. Like, seeing the diversity, seeing the kind of hardship that people might be going through in their life. Like, I should jump into preparation so that, like, I can change the thing at the beginning, at the stages, right? But nowadays, like, we see a trend. I mean, the school-going students or the parents of these students. I mean, the child is born, like, they think of, like, we will make him IAS, right?
Okay,
like, what do you like? What do you think on that part?
Well, no, I don't think, I don't have much of an opinion. I appreciate the aspirations of parents. Every parent is aspirational, but well, I think people should just let their child be and provide them, good opportunities to explore at what they want, because this is not the end of the world. IAS is just a post. IAS, IPS, IRS, these are all just posts, and these are not the end of the world. So many people are talented in different ways, so we should not push anybody. We can show them that this is also a path. So I was lucky enough that my parents showed me that there is a path like this. There is something called IAS, or there is something called bureaucracy, so why not see it? But just trying doing this from 10th standard or 12th standard and all that, I don't think you should do that. I don't think people should do that. They should try to have a well-rounded personality, participate in sports, participate in, extracurricular activities, because those really build you, and try to have a curious mindset. Just curiosity is the most important thing that, you can have in life. So if people can be curious about things, and finally, if they really want to have pursue this examination at from, like, even at a young age, if they are in their early college stage or their early 12th standard stage, they can start reading newspapers and try to improve their language ability, their writing ability, their speaking ability. I don't think anything more than that is necessary, because this exam just demands intense effort for 10 to 12 months. That's it. Nothing else that we do matters so much.
All right. So now there is another part. I mean, like there are a lot of students, right? Like they come from different family backgrounds.
Yes.
Some students are there. Their parents were not educated enough. I mean, like some students are there, like whose parents have been into civil services, for example, IAS, IPS, and all.
Yeah.
So, like now, when we talk, when we talk about the civil services examination, this is just an examination process that is, testing the knowledge of the candidate, right? It is not looking into the, the background that the candidate comes from, the hardship that the candidate might have gone
Exactly.
through.
Yes.
So, like, what do you think? Like, if a student is the first generation learner in this, into the real academics, means like going to school, colleges, and all. So, what do the challenges for that student and the challenge for a student who comes from very affluent, I would say, like intellectually rich family, right? So like what can be the differences, and like how do you view this particular thing?
Yeah, that is a very, very valid point you have raised, because sometimes, this exam, it requires you to quit your job, it requires you to stay home, and it requires some resources. So it is at times, however equal we try to make it, or however equal we try to feel it is not equal. Definitely, people with affluent backgrounds, and say people with more guidance, they tend to clear more often. People from the top colleges tend to clear more often. So it is true that, because they have concentrated resources and they have guidance and circles available, and guidance is the most important thing about this exam. But this is changing now, because we have apps like Telegram now. And Telegram is personally a very revolutionary app, in my opinion, because it is something that, we could not access all these guidance and all these books, especially for my optional anthropology. Telegram, like there are groups of 20,000 where everything is pooled. You have ebooks of any sort of book. You don't have to spend a single penny to buy anything, to get any guidance, which, say, anything would cost lakhs before. Now you can get it with just a smartphone, which everybody can buy, or everybody can, pool money together and buy. So this thing of guidance and this thing of, affluence is being the determining factor in your preparation is changing. But the other thing is that many people, like if you belong to a less privileged background, there is issue of language, because we see that regional candidates, sometimes it is much harder for them, because they have double the effort. They need to people who give in regional languages, they need to study as much as an English medium aspirant, and they need to translate all that into the and make it into notes. So it is double the effort. So there, I would say that if you can improve your, because UPSC requires some sort of English language skills also, especially prelims. It tests, especially prelims and essay ethics. There, the words, right? The words carry a lot of meaning, and sometimes we would not be able to figure out what it exactly means. And as I said in essay, if you do not know exactly what it means, the marks will go down. As much as you can go high, it will go down. So I would say that improving your English language skills is kind of important, which can be achieved through newspaper. And improving your mathematical skills for CSAT, that is very important. So if an aspirant is facing any difficulties in this, they can just take one issue of the Hindu and they can mark. Actually, this idea was given to my friend. He was a Hindi medium student, and then he went then he qualified into the IPS. He went into English medium. So he would take the newspaper, the Hindu newspaper, and just see and mark all the words you do not know. So initially you would have 1,000 words that you don't know, right? Then he pursued this over months. So this is something you can do in college. Like, you would have 1,000 words in the first week. Later in 3 weeks, you will have 200 words. Then you will have this. So sit with the dictionary and see what these words mean and keep drilling it into your head. So this can be a very good equalizer for aspirants, because social media, Telegram, YouTube, you don't need anything else. You only need a mind to analyze and go through this information. So that is one. So that has equalized the game a lot from compared to before. And the other thing is this, improving your English language skills.
All right. So thank you so much, Melvyn, for interacting with us today.
Thank you. It was you had great questions actually. Thank you for that.
It was a really great time interacting with you today. Like, we wish all the best from the team of Lukmaan IAS.
Yes.
And,
thank you so much. Even I would thank you for that. Lukmaan IAS has also been, a nice part of my journey, and I appreciate the guidance that I've got from you.
So thank you once again. So like, I wish to see you again soon, like maybe in another set of Zoom sessions in future.
Sure. It would be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari, and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed, and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.